job stream management and visualization. So I'm logged into the AAI web UI and I'm currently navigated to the Jobstreams section of the UI. This is new in the 650 release that's broken into three sections. Jobstream definitions, where we can view our definitional data for the job streams or SLAs we've created. A Jobstream run grid, which is similar to the monitoring perspective in the Fit client today, where you'll see a list of your SLAs, maybe filtered by business area, their status, the next start time, and the data that you'd expect to see in that tabular monitoring view in the Fit client. We also have a brand new view for our job streams, the Jobstream runs timeline. Here is where we can see a RAG status of our business areas for our in progress, complete, and forecasted job streams. And I'm going to go through each of these three sessions in order today. So here's our job stream definitions, and I have a filter currently set. AI has the ability in a lot of the tabular detail panes to apply these filters that use AND logic when you build more filters in. I'm currently filtered on a job stream name where that job stream name begins with the string enable. I could add a filter here to my business area and add a filter for the enablement business area, which again contains these two SLAs or job streams. And these were the two job streams that were created in session one. If I remove the business areas filter, I'm still going to see the two job streams we have based on the job stream name string. As we move across the screen, I have an ability to refresh the data on this screen directly using the refresh button. I can tailor the columns that I have within the display simply by toggling on and off the column detail that I'd like to see. And I have hide all and show all buttons that I can use to make that easier to fine tune what I want to see in this job stream definitional table. I can export this table to a CSV file. Simple export, click on the export button here. It will create a CSV file of the data that we're looking at on the screen. I have an auto refresh toggle, which means that this page will automatically refresh and I'll be able to pull new data in, or it will pull new data in as it's created in AAI. I also have a focus mode button in the top right-hand corner. If I click on the focus mode button, then the search bar at the top of the screen disappears, as does the left-hand AAI locator for the application or the part of the application that we're focusing on. We can really maximize real estate by using that focus mode. I'm going to switch that off, but you'll see how that can be really beneficial when we start looking at more details in the timeline view of the job streams that we've created. So let's very quickly, I'm going to add one more job stream. I appreciate that we added two job streams in the first session, but I'd like to add another in this session just for the completeness of this particular enablement. I click on Add Job Stream and I can specify here the job that I would like AAI to find. I can use a number of different filters, starts with, ends with, or contains for the job name. I'm going to use the exact job name. I had it in my copy and paste buffer. Select the job name and I can see the number of jobs within the job stream and the number of historical runs in the AAI database. I click on OK and I give my job stream a name. I can see my statistics, I can make this job stream available for monitoring and alerting, for forecasting, and mark the job stream as critical if I'd like to. In the job stream hierarchy, I can select the business area that I would like to add this job stream to, and I can select the amount of historical runs I want to add. In the interest of speed, I'm going to toggle the selection here, and I am just going to add the historical runs since the beginning of this month. I can use the alert criteria here to specify any alerts that I wish this job stream to act upon. I've selected the 4 out of the box critical severity alerts for this particular job stream, and I'm going to set a blackout period that is going to prevent me from receiving any alerts during the Europe-London time zone between Friday at 5 p.m. and Monday at 9 a.m. And click on Create for my job stream. Now, because my job stream matches the filter, the enable string of the job stream name, what we see here is the job stream while it's being added in a grey banner. That job stream has been added. We have our status banner to tell us that the job stream has been created, and we now have that job stream visible to us in the job stream definitions. Each of the columns within this data can be moved and dragged and resized to help you to tailor how your tabular data looks based upon your preferences. And each of the columns has an ellipses to the right-hand side. By clicking on that ellipses, I can get to some further actions that I can use on each of these columns. I can sort the columns by ascending or descending order, hide or show columns, and I can actually pin them to the left or to the right of the location they're currently sat in. So that's our job stream definitions page, and that's how we add a job stream into the AAI system. So let's have a look at one of those job streams that we've created. And I'll use this previously created job stream right now. When we look at the definition of a job stream, we are looking at a breakdown into 4 different areas: our basic information, our jobs, our run details, and our alerts. The basic information is exactly that: basic information around that job stream that's been created. Information such as the target job, such as how many jobs are within that job stream, what the late criterion is, what the average duration is, and it includes most recent run and the earliest run that's been recorded. It also includes the active alerts and any blackouts that you have applied to the job stream. If we look at the jobs table within the definition, then we see the list of jobs that form part of that job stream. Each of the blue text icons here relate to links within the AAI tool. And we'll look at the job section of AAI later on, but I can click on any of these job names and I can get directly to the job level data, execution history, and some trending information related to those jobs. We have tabular data again, tabular data that can be filtered using the filter icon. Again, select the filter that you wish to apply, add the string or toggle the selector, and that data will change based upon your filter. And I have the columns button. Again, I can select or deselect columns in the data related to the jobs that I'm looking at. And I have the ability to export that data into a CSV file if I'd like to. When we look at the run details of that job stream, what we're now looking at is the execution or each execution of the job stream in the AAI system. We have a filter already applied to show the last 21 days and the next 24 hours of executions. We have a timeline view to the right-hand side. Each of the bars, the horizontal bars in this timeline, is either a real, in progress, or a complete, in progress, or forecasted execution of the job stream. By hovering over each of these durations or executions, I can see the start and end time and the SLA time. I can also identify whether that start time or end time is forecasted or real. If my now indicator dissects the run duration, then you can see the start time is an actual event time and the end time is a prediction. Any prediction in the AAI Web UI has a clock symbol to the left-hand side of the time, and you can see that in the hover over tooltip that I'm highlighting right now. And you can also see it in the left-hand column in the start time and end time, where you can very easily identify which times are actual events and which times are being forecasted or predicted by the AAI tool. So this is the timeline view of our Jobstream executions. We have two other views of these Jobstream executions that we can now get to. We have a view that's relative to the SLA. So here our SLA is a vertical line and our execution either falls to the left, dissects, or to the right of that SLA. If the execution dissects the SLA button, then we have an icon that then that duration will turn red because that SLA execution was late. It's very easy to identify from this view where you have those late executions. And I can click on these execution lines, or I can click on the execution to jump straight into the Gantt level job by job level view of that particular job stream, the jobs that it consists of, and its critical path. The third view I have in this run details is the SLA graph. In the SLA graph, we have each execution as a plotted line with the SLA across the screen or across the graph. Any plots above that SLA line are breaches. They're where SLAs have been missed. Any blue plots are where executions of the SLA have actually finished in time. And again, I can get to the execution level detail for those SLAs or for those job streams through the link in the start time column. I also have in this particular view of the job stream, I have the ability to track the alerts and filter upon those alerts. I can see where I can apply filters on the alerts that happened in the past 30 days, or where an alert type is a specific alert. There are these filters that can be applied to this tabular data. And again, columns allows you to add, remove columns from the display that you're looking at, and the ability to export. So that is a job stream definition and the 4 tabs available to you to view the definitional data for the job stream and in fact access the execution level detail and even the Gantt level detail directly from that job stream definition. So having looked at our job stream definitions, let's have a look at the job stream grid. So as I mentioned, the Jobstream grid gives us the ability to build a monitoring view similar to the monitor view in today's AAI Fit client. Here I'm showing all of our job streams through a date range of the last 24 hours to the next 2 days. Columns, again, can be amended using the column setting. I can export this detail using the export icon, and I can auto refresh or switch auto refresh on or off, and I can use my focus mode. If I want to add further filters, I can do so very easily. If I add a business area of by scheduler and switch autosys on, now I'm filtering on the job streams that are within the Autosys P01 scheduler within this AAI system. I can apply another filter. Let's go for a state of running. And I'm now looking at a list of the currently running SLAs or job streams for the Autosys P01 instance. Very similar to the monitoring perspective and the monitoring view that we have in the Fit client today. So that is the Jobstream runs grid view. I'm going to remove these filters. And now we're going to look at the Jobstream runs timeline. Now, the Jobstream runs timeline is a brand new view of the data within AAI. What we're looking at here is a list of our business areas. the business areas that I am privileged to see within the AAI system. And we're looking at a RAG status for those business areas. This is a wrap up of any business areas that are contained or nested within this high level business area. So for example, in the by application business area, within the last 24 hours and the next 2 days, there are 45 completed job streams that have completed on time. There are 8 job streams that have completed late. There are 2 job streams that are running and forecast to be on time. There is 1 job stream that AAI cannot forecast, and it's either in an other or an unknown state. We have 149 job streams forecasted in the next 2 days to finish on time, at 3 forecasted to be late, and 4 in either an unknown or an other state within AAI. To the right-hand side, we have a timeline view. Now, this timeline view does not show executions for those business areas because those business areas are not executing. When we drill into one of those business areas in a second and we get to the list of job streams that that business area consists of, you'll see a lot more executional data. And that executional data will look like the 2 job streams we have at the foot of the screen here. We have an execution duration, either in green or red, green indicating that this past or completed execution has finished on time, and red indicating that this past or completed execution actually finished late. We have to the right-hand side, in this particular case of the execution, a vertical bar. Now that vertical bar indicates on the timeline where that particular execution's SLA deadline sits. In this case, the SLA deadline the SLA was met, the execution completed before that vertical plot line. We have a now indicator. Now this now indicator indicates current time. If I hover over the now indicator, that will tell me what that date and time actually is and the time zone that I'm looking at that in. Where we have that vertical line dissecting an execution, that means we have an execution of a job stream in progress. And as you can see, as I mentioned a short while ago, we have a start event that happened in the past. That's an event that has happened. And we have a predicted end time for this job stream execution. We have the ability to refresh the data fetch for this timeline, but we have auto refresh switched on, so I'm not going to click on the refresh right now. We have the ability to zoom our timeline in and out, and we'll do that in a second when we look at some data within one of the nested business areas. We have the ability to view a legend, and again, we'll have a look at that in a second when we look at some more job stream data. So let's drill into one of our job streams. And I'm going to drill into the foreign exchange application that's part of the by application job stream. When we drill into our job streams or into our business areas, we have thumbnails at the top of the screen. We can very easily navigate through those nested business areas and back to the top of the tree if we'd like to, using these thumbnails. What we're looking at on the screen now is 7 SLAs or seven job streams that are defined as part of the foreign exchange application. We have job streams, in fact, the top 3 job streams here are running in Automic, and they're running on around a daily cadence. We have some job streams in Autosys that are running on an hourly cadence. And we can see each of those executions plotted in our graph to the right-hand side. If I zoom in slightly, we can see that we receive a scroll bar at the foot of the page here, and we can use that scroll bar to move the view left and right to center on where we would like to focus right now. Each of those executions provides a plot view, and we can see each of the deadlines and when each of these forecasts in the future are likely to execute. Useful when you're looking at a very large list of job streams is the focus mode to hide that search bar at the top of the screen and the application navigator to the left-hand side. I'll exit from focus mode again to bring those pages back to the fore. From here, we can now directly enter the Gantt chart view of one of these job streams. Let's have a look at the FX or the foreign exchange hourly related to the Asia Pacific environment. Now I can get to that execution of, or the next execution or the last execution just by simply clicking on the timeline view. So I'm going to pick the previous execution of this particular job stream. And I now have the visual representation of the jobs that form the job stream we have just opened. Similar to the Fit client, we have a toolbar at the top of the screen, and I'll run through these icons. The first of the icons allows us to show and hide the critical path lines within the job stream. If I click on the show critical path lines, you'll see red lines have been drawn through that particular job stream, and you can see where that critical path lies. The second icon will expand the critical path. If I expand the critical path, I'm now able to automatically open containers. In this case, an AutoSys job stream will open boxes. In the case of an Automic job stream, it might open a workflow. And we can see the critical path execution through our job stream. I have navigational buttons that allow me to move up and down between our critical path jobs. If I click on up here, my selected job will move up to the previous or the higher critical path job, indicated by a red icon to the left of the job name, or by a red execution duration in the duration graph to the right-hand side. If I click on the target button, that will select automatically the target job of my job stream. This is the job that has been used to actually create the job stream as the critical job that must complete by a given time or after a given job stream duration. The remaining icons here allow us to show and hide different information. I can show or hide predecessors or show predecessors, hide or show successors of the selected job. I can hide or show average durations. I can hide or show unlinked runs and jobs that did not run as part of this job stream execution. If I use the More Actions button, I can get to an export of this particular view of the job stream. I can copy the URL and I can enter into settings. Now these settings are similar to they are the icons that we see at the top of the screen. I can select whether or not I want to show average durations. And if I want to show average execution durations, whether I want them to show for all of the jobs, just those jobs in the critical path, and then whether I would like them to show for jobs that are running longer than average, shorter than average, or for any jobs. I can cancel out of this setting and show you what the average duration looks like. Using the icon in the toolbar at the top of the screen, I'll hide our average runs. And what you'll notice is the bar beneath each of the executions will vanish from the display. It's this bar that indicates the average duration of the job. So if I select this particular job, for example, the average duration is longer than the execution of this job. We can see that it's completed earlier than its average duration. If we look at the container here, we can see that this container's actually run long. The execution itself is longer than its average duration. And we can easily hide that information from the view if we don't want it available to us. If we have a look at the legend will open up on the screen for us, and we can easily identify from the legend the different icons, the different colorings visible within the view, the Gantt chart view, to identify what we're actually looking at very, very easily. Moving to the foot of the screen, we have the ability now, brand new in 6.5, to show a list of either jobs that have run longer than average and therefore are likely to be problematic in this execution of the job stream, or we can show the jobs that are in a tabular detail here that are just on the critical path. Very easy to do. We have two filters built for us, and we select the filter that we would like to show, or the filter that we would like to include as a list of jobs in this panel at the bottom of the page. I typically like to use longer than average and then sort this data by clicking on the column twice to sort it in descending order, so that I now have the job with the highest deviance. In this case, this particular container has run 1 minute and 5 seconds longer than its average duration. We can see its average duration is 31 minutes, 21 seconds, and this duration was 32 minutes, 26 seconds. So this is a fine margin in deviation, but in a more realistic or larger job stream, you're likely to see those deviations increased or higher than those that I'm sharing on this screen today. What we have the ability also to do here is take the data that's filtered within this view and actually have our Gantt chart view those jobs, view that data with a simple toggle, show filtered view in Gantt. And I can toggle that view on. And now only the jobs that are listed in our problematic list are displayed in our timeline view. Similarly, if I switch that off and I remove this filter, add the jobs on critical path filter and reapply, now we will only see those jobs that are on the critical path. We're hiding all of the jobs that are not part of the critical path with this filter set from the Gantt view.